Thank you for joining us for our 30 Days of Giving. This is our first live conversation, and here I have our Insight to Wellbeing team with us joining. So maybe before we get started, I'm thinking that we can just go around the room real quick, maybe introduce ourselves. So if you can please just give your name, your pronouns, and your role here at the Insight Alliance.
I'll start off. My name is Beto. I'm a teacher, peer mentor, organizer at the Inside Alliance, and I go by he, him pronouns.
And I'm Mason. I'm a teacher, program manager, and mentor with the Insight Alliance, and I go by he, him.
Hi, my name is Daron. I'm a teacher mentor at the Inside Alliance, and I go by she, her.
Great. And lastly, my name is Santi. I use she, her pronouns. I'm also a teacher and peer mentor here at the Insight Alliance. So again, thank you guys for joining us for our 30 Days of Giving. I'm really excited to have this conversation with my team, Insight to Wellbeing. So I really just want to go around the room and just ask some questions about what has been going on over this last year, what we're looking forward to in the year ahead. So I want to start it off with you, Beto. What has the Insight to Wellbeing team been up to this year?
Man, so much. What's up, Facebook Live? We've been up to so much. We've been doing a lot of intensive with Morrison Family Kids, Parrot Creek, Metro, um, it- uh, uh, Ray. I can't remember exactly what Ray's teams is. Sharon could touch on that. That's where we got Sharon. We did something
The
with
DCJ victim unit.
yes, there you
Sure.
go. Thank you. Uh, and then we also we also go into McLaren, Coffee Creek, CRCI, North NWRCC. Um, what we also have, like, we opened up two houses. We opened two women identifying houses to where we also teach the insight to well-being. We also uh, took both of our houses to a camping trip to where we had a healing ceremony. Yeah, we just been doing so much. We and I know I missed a lot because we've been doing a lot. But yeah, that's just a little bit of what we've been going through.
You're on mute.
It's been a jam-packed year of a lot of busy things that we've been up to. Um, Mason, is there anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, we've gotten in so many institutions. We also got to the youth, like Oak Creek, the women's youth. So we've been in the men's youth for a while, but now we got to Oak Creek. We also did a D-Start program, which is like a diversion program. Huge, right? So instead of they take our program and there's accountability in it, we kind of modified some things in that. Maybe we'll talk about that more. But yeah, so we did D-Start program, um, community groups as well. And yeah, just a ton of different groups. We also have this year, our research finally finished, like 5 years of research. We had a huge research program. We worked with Coffee Creek, with the women and even the men at Columbia River. And there was control groups. It was a high number of participants and just a really thorough research project. And the findings came out, it's peer reviewed, showed dramatic reduction in trauma response, and overall increase in mental health, less anxiety, less depression, and the impacts were long lasting. So we're now peer reviewed, we're now evidence-based, which we all know, like we see insane impact in our classes. We see people just like glow up, right? And so we see it, but now we have the evidence behind it. So it's really exciting. So yeah, we'll talk about what we're going to be doing this next year, also utilizing that peer reviewed and the evidence-based aspect. So
Yeah, that's awesome. That gave me goosebumps just talking about the research and us being evidence-based and the impact that has been felt throughout all of our our groups, whether it's in the community, whether it's in different institutions with the youth and adults. That is awesome. Now I want to circle back real quick because Beto, I know you were talking about healing ceremony. So maybe Saron, maybe you can shed a little bit more light about healing ceremony and what that looks like.
Yeah, we were lucky enough to meet a wonderful person at a conference that we went to for restorative justice. Karuna has graciously agreed to meet with us and teach us about ceremony. She has been doing ceremony for about 25 years. And we think that it's really important to add a healing piece to the work that we're doing. And we decided that this is going to be like our 2.0. We're going to add a bit of healing to our program because that is such an important part of all of this. And in the healing piece, we're bringing in ceremony. And the important piece about ceremony is that it documents a time in someone's life when there's a shift or a change or something impactful or important. And so we want to be able to give people an opportunity to take note of what has happened throughout their time in the past, be it either incarceration or any other type of past, and kind of take note of what they want to shift and change for themselves. And then eventually bring in community to support that and to keep us all on the same page. So I'm really excited. This is a really big, beautiful piece for me because I've always wanted to do ceremony. So this is really exciting for me.
Yeah. And our team has had a glimpse of being able to be on the receiving end of ceremony that was hosted by Saron, which was honestly so incredible and so healing. So I'm excited to see where that ends up with the people that we work with. So I want to ask now, so with our Insight to Wellbeing team, I know we spoke a little bit about the different institutions that we're at and the different programs that we've been doing in those institutions. Maybe I'll just open it up to each of us to speak on this. What is the impact that you all have seen in the different groups that you've been facilitating?
I could start. I have been going to McLaren and Oak Creek and Coffee Creek. And for me, seeing how people navigate our program, and by week 4 or 6, light bulbs are just going off, and their responses to situations in their life are different. They're not reacting to things that if initially they would have thought were coming at them. And just the peace of mind and being able to navigate difficult situations with grounding and more peaceful in a more peaceful way. So it's just beautiful to see people who believe that there's something wrong with them, realizing that there's absolutely nothing wrong with them.
Wow. Absolutely. Thank you, Saron.
Inspiring.
Mm-hmm.
I can go. I mean, we have like the best job in the world, like really, like I go into a class and see people wake up to like their own capacity, like their own goodness. We just had a graduation on Monday for Columbia River. And Abraham was taking that course 2 times. A lot of people take it more than once. They kind of like they want to go deeper and deeper, right? And something he said, he's like, this class is just bringing me back to my natural state of goodness.
Mm-hmm.
And when we feel good, we do better. When we feel good, we see more options. And the reality is when we aren't constantly tearing ourselves down and responding to our insanity in our head, sometimes you just navigate life easier. And we see that people get lighter, what like Rome was talking, mentioning, people just get lighter and things, it's just like, it's amazing to see how people blossom. And there's so like, man, there's people that like, they're realizing for the first time, like oh, I actually don't have to come back to prison. They're like, before it's just like, that's like, that's what I do. It's my fifth time in prison. I just gonna come back. It's just, it's what it is. I'm gonna go out and use drugs and come back to prison. They're finally like, I don't have to do that. And it's like, it may seem obvious to us, right? Oh, duh, right? But no, no, like they didn't see any other option.
Mhm.
And so, not only are participants so incredibly grateful because none of the other programs they've taken have had really any impact. They feel like just memorizing stuff and everything else. We're just pointing back to their own wisdom,
Mm.
pointing to something they already have inside. And as they get eyes for it, it naturally shows up in their life and they just see more possibility. Um, so yeah, the impact is, I mean, bringing people to tears in our Columbia River, like person is like 55, it's like, I've never seen life as possibility. And like, I've always been in drugs. I've always come back to prison. And he's just like, he's crying in prison. He's like, wow, okay. Like, I don't know, because it's a cool experience. And I'm so lucky that we get to participate and engage and point people back to their own wisdom. Um, so
Thanks, Mason.
Yeah, I love that. And I think it's like the elevation and understanding of our 2.0, right? Because we get to come in and have an amazing job of creating a healing process, but through the healing process, we understand that we're not only imprisoned physically at times, but also mentally, and just to understand that, we do become lighter. We do, like somebody said, that we see a glow coming from, the people that we engage with. It's just so beautiful. And and to know that, like, I love what you say, Santi, it's like it, we don't have to go to the light at the end of the tunnel when we're the light, and we just don't realize that we're the light, you know, and that elevation and understanding of like, I'm not identified with the labels. I don't have to be conditioned. I don't have to be continue to be victimized by the conditioning of what my thinking was. And I can heal and understand and beautifully, I love how you brought up Abraham, but I beautifully last night, um, doing a community group, we had a participant that's been coming to 3 times finally broke through. It's like, I didn't know I had a choice.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
that's so beautiful when we realize that we're now we have choices, we have options. And it was just so powerful. And he goes, and now I can play with thought. Before I
Mm.
was so defined by thought, and just like breaking through like that is also gives me, and I could probably say us too, is that collective healing that
Mm.
we all so desperately need. You know what I mean? So I love this job. I love the impact that we create.
I love that. And I guess I can speak a little bit too. Yesterday we just finished our first 10-week program over at Oak Creek, which has been so beautiful and so impactful and much different than the youth over at McLaren. And yesterday, one of the youth was talking about they've been to so many different groups, so many different classes. They've had to do all of these different workbooks where they just fill in things, um, not really having opportunities to speak and share and externally process things, and be in a group in community with people. And she spoke so beautifully about like, I've learned more in this group, Insight to Wellbeing, than I have in any other program that I have. And how impactful is that for a 15, 16, 17-year-old teenage child that is experiencing this sort of breakthrough and discovering the light that is within them, that is within all of us, right? Our well-being, to discover that, oh, I'm not broken. I don't need fixing. I'm just caught up in my thinking. My mind is playing tricks on me. And the more awareness I have, the higher up the tree I can climb to observe my experience and see it for what it is. And it was just so cool because even the ones who are super quiet, the insights stay with them. There's things that still, that they're listening, even when you don't think they are. They're listening, they're hearing this seep into them. And over the last 10 weeks with Oak Creek especially, we've been able to just see those little pockets of, like Saron was saying, those light bulbs just sort of like they start to illuminate, right? And it's just so beautiful and so impactful that we get to be a part of this. It is such a privilege and an honor that we get to do this work, because there are teachers all around us. And we're working with folks who not only are currently incarcerated and affected by the carceral system, we also get to learn so much from them based on them sharing their experiences. And it is so profound, because then that also allows us, all of us here in the space, to meet ourselves deeper. And then we get to share that wisdom too. So I just wanted to touch on that. But yeah. So I'm curious to know then. So we've talked a lot about what we've been up to this last year. Oh, and maybe I can mention, we had a huge strategy session this year back in the summer in June in Puerto Rico, which was an honor and such a wonderful experience. My family is from Puerto Rico, so it was just so beautiful that we got to spend it with the Insight team and with some of our other partner organizations. So I don't know if you guys want to talk a little bit about that strategy session and how that experience was for you guys, but I thought I would open it up.
Yeah, I can talk about it. I mean, it's amazing. It was good to meet. So our curriculum, which is now evidence-based, was developed, right? We worked with two other organizations, one in Florida, one in the UK. And so we've met to do curriculum 2.0. Like, how can we update this? How can we make it even more impactful? Now we've used it for years and we've seen where some things work, some things don't. So we really are just kind of huge upgrade. Like this whole year we've been upgrading it and working on that process. But we had to all meet too, and that was like the best spot to meet in central location. And, but it was an amazing trip and to actually meet people in person instead of just on Zoom. Um, yeah, and it's super exciting to see where that goes.
Yeah. Yeah, when Bethel mentioned the 2.0, I had the thought of Puerto Rico and curriculum 2.0, and I just wanted to speak on that for a second. So maybe we could just talk about, like, what is the trajectory of the Insights Wellbeing team? Like, where do you see things heading this year?
I know. We're in talks with OSC, and then we're going into OSP. Which is something that I'm really looking forward to. I love going into McLaren, and I love going into CRCI and NWRCC, but uh going into OSP is like full circle for me, because I did a lot of my time in maximum security prison, and just to see the culture and the way of life there, but the openness and the willingness, just like, I want something different. I want to create something different. I want to break the patterns of what this is. I just can't wait to create a beautiful space, with the collective wisdom in the room, and
Yeah.
just let's get at it, let's do it, and it's gonna be beautiful. But I know we're up to so much more. I just know that part is what I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, OSP is exciting. Beto and I got to go down this last week and meet with some lifers that were down there and talk about the possibilities. And they are so excited. They were like, look, we're tired of seeing our friends coming back. Like, we see them leave and they come back. And they're like, this program sounds like it would be so impactful. And so they're really excited to get us in there. Um, Not only going into the other institutions, right? In the institutions we're in, it kind of starts out, people are like, oh, insight to well-being. You get like 8 or 10 people, and then people get really excited and packed it. Then it kind of goes up to 12 or 13, and then some people retake it. And now it's like it's blossoming. Like we're starting to, people are really hearing about, at least in the minimum, like no one there had taken the class. In the medium at Coffee Creek, there were some people who were there before when we were teaching. But it's blossoming in the prison. Like it's starting to impact even just like the culture, and not just, you affect individual people immensely. And then, of course, that's going to impact other people. And so I think we're seeing this just grow out and it's getting more momentum behind it. Um, and so I'm just super excited to see the culture change in the prisons, to see people getting out and staying out. Like there's no doubt in my mind that we know not only from our statistics that we follow from when we were teaching before, but that ton of people, the majority of people who take our class and are engaged, like they don't go back to prison.
Mm-hmm.
They don't get back in their addiction. Like that's just we know that. I'm still friends with 5 people who I took my class with back in 2017 when we were incarcerated. And like they're doing amazing. Like started their own businesses
Mm.
into art. Like it's just, like it's incredible.
Yeah, that's so wonderful. Thank you guys for sharing that. And I also will say though too, it's so infectious. Like even just what I've experienced going into Coffee Creek is there are so many people who are on our wait list, which means that there are so many people who are hearing through word of mouth, or maybe they're experiencing someone who has shifted in their eyes, and they're like, I wonder what this person is up to. Like, what is this person taking, right? And then through word of mouth, they get to hear, oh my God, or just our participants who are currently enrolled in our program, Insight to Wellbeing, that are then going telling other people, oh my God, I'm in this incredible program. You should take this. You should do this. And it's so cool how word of mouth just spreads. And when we see people kind of elevate and they glow up, so to speak, other people start to become aware to that and they take notice. And so it has caused us to have bigger and bigger and bigger wait lists, which means in this year ahead, there's only going to be so much more insight to well-being that we'll have in these different institutions, which I think is so cool. So I wonder, before we wrap up, maybe I'll go back to you, Beto. I know we did this really cool talk over at Tigard High School, and I wonder if you can just speak a little bit more to that experience.
Yeah, that's a beautiful experience that I completely forgot about that. Thank you for circling back around. With Tiger High School to go with the youth, right? And knowing that when we go into adult facilities, you know, they say, man, I wish I knew this as a kid. When we go into McLaren, saying they're like, man, I wish I knew this before, so they go, so now we're going into the Tiger High School and giving some creating a space to look at thoughts differently, and it's so beautiful to like this program is so simple that when I was doing with labels and all these other things, it's just jumping into it right away. you know when I said, what are these labels? A young adult said, they're just thoughts, so
Mhm.
quick. So, and how we catch on, and it just like how our body and how our spirit just wants to be able to create a different space within itself to transform, and it just like I love being able to go with the youth and just like create a different space and like look at how we're navigating life, how we're conditioned, but breaking that condition early because we don't have to be defined by that condition moving forward. So that's my intake, my intake, my thoughts on Tiger.
Yeah. And so hopefully in the near future, maybe sometime in 2024, we'll be able to actually take our program Insight to Wellbeing into Tigard High School as another way to be engaged with the youth. I want to speak just real quick on two things that we are also working on, which is going to take us into 2024. The first being that we are doing our 10-week virtual series. So basically our 10-week curriculum that we teach in these different institutions will be able to be available online as a 10-week virtual series, which is really cool. So that's something that we're currently working on present moment, and we're really excited about. And then the second thing is giving an auditory journey through Insight to Wellbeing via a podcast, which is something that I've been able to have dabbling my hands in that, and which I feel really grateful to be a part of. But really the whole premise is how we work with folks who are incarcerated and also people who have been affected by the carceral system, and how we can be physically imprisoned but experience peace of mind or freedom within, right? A lot of impact people are pointing to that, where they feel liberated from their own minds while still being incarcerated. And also folks who have never been incarcerated but have been prisoner to their own minds have also experienced this sort of liberation or freedom or peace of mind. So the premise of this podcast sort of speaks to this metaphor that we can reach freedom and liberation and peace of mind within, regardless of what our external circumstance or physical environment may be. And then also just with D-Start, again, I know Mason mentioned this D-Start program as being a diversion program, which we were able to pilot this year. Myself and Beto got to be a part of it, which was amazing. And so I know that we're only going to continue to do the D-Start program in the near future as well. Hopefully I didn't miss anything, and if I did, anyone can speak on it. Otherwise, I want to thank you all for joining us this morning. It was such a pleasure to talk to the Insight to Wellbeing team, and we hope you guys